Tonight, the conclusion of Pageant, Prayer for the Dead.
I'm in no mood to be messed about. Where are the drugs?
The circle is closing, but the truth is hard to find.
I'd like to make a statement about the night of Scott Graham's death. I think you should read this, sir.
The obvious answers
I didn't kill either of them.
prove wrong.
Why should I?
And victims aren't what they seem.
I don't think we're talking about the same girl here.
The late Mark McManus in the conclusion of Pageant, Prayer for the Dead. Tonight, 8:35 on 1.
There's been an official keel laying for the first of New Zealand's 2 new frigates in Melbourne today. And for the first time in 3 decades, one of our Navy ships will not be named after a province. Here's Sahai Tiffin.
New Zealand's first Anzac frigate has been underway since last year, with the Australian ship launched. The keel laying could officially take place between showers and bitter cold that didn't bother the many Kiwis in the crowd.
I feel particularly at home on such a bright and mildly breezy Wellington day.
In true naval tradition, a specially minted coin placed where the hull would rest, and the name of the frigate no longer a secret.
This first Anzac, New Zealand Anzac ship is to be named HMNZS Te Kaha, which translates in the context of fighting to prowess or strength.
It's about a tenth of the hull. The rest will now be added onto it here. The whole of the superstructure coming from Whangarei will start to be shipped over in a couple of months. Among those who made the trip across the Tasman, the Mayor of Whangarei. The frigate project has meant jobs for his city. For 350 New Zealand companies, it's meant business.
This has meant over $50 million worth of work.
It's a very important milestone for New Zealand industry. It's a major launching platform for us into the Australian defence marketplace and the worldwide marketplace.
A milestone too for the New Zealand Navy, its first purpose-built frigate. Sahai Tiffin, One Network News, Melbourne.
Labour's Peter Dunn seems to have moved closer to leaving his party. He's upset at the way the party is developing its economic policy, saying that he, as revenue spokesperson, has been excluded. But the party says the outburst is all about Mr Dunn's future and not about policy. Lee Pearson reports.
In no stand-down period.
The country's youth took centre stage at Parliament today, marking the anniversary of the lowering of the voting age. But while the youngsters engaged in mock political combat, the grown-ups were at it for real. Labour's Peter Dunn is angry and frustrated by the process to rewrite the party's economic policy. He believes he's been excluded.
I fear that. I hope it's not the case, but I'm forced to draw that conclusion from the way things have gone.
I think that's completely untrue and unfair, and I'm sorry Peter said that. I think this is really more about Peter preparing the ground for leaving the Labour Party than it is about the process of policy development.
Why is it only moving? Michael Cullen is fine-tuning the party's economic policy. When Labour MPs meet on Thursday, they're expected to make final decisions on what insiders call minor changes to the tax policy.
I think the policy, if the caucus approves it in something like its present form, is inconsistent with Peter's philosophical position.
Peter Dunn is a free marketeer who opposes any sort of tax increases. He's made no secret of the fact that he's considering his future with Labour.
My view all along has been that I will make my decision, as I expect others will too, about ultimate futures based on the outcome of policy.
Labour leaders don't want to be seen to push Peter Dunn out of the party, but it's clear the party's reshaped economic and tax policy will be the final straw for him. Just when Peter Dunn will leave is up to him, and right now he's not saying. Lee Pearson, One Network News.
Competition for the Green vote is heating up. Auckland Greens have formed a party to fight an MMP election, although the Alliance and the original Green Party aren't too concerned. A greater threat is looming from another, more powerful breakaway group of Greens. Mike Jaspers reports.
This is the kind of life Dr. Hans Gruber dreamed of before he immigrated from Germany 10 years ago. The retired lawyer and former Green Party supporter is now nurturing a political offspring to compete for the Green vote.
There's no green message in the Alliance. It's just one of those parties, and they all have green messages, and the Alliance is not greener than, for instance, Labour.
The Greens, one of 5 parties in the Alliance, believe green policies are better served by the Alliance.
If you do it through the Alliance, you can get a majority in Parliament pledged to support those policies, and that is what is capable of getting legislation passed. A splinter group can't do that.
The alliance is also relaxed.
Many of the people who now think they're going to have parties at the next election, A, won't have them, and B, even if they do, what they do have won't get past the 5% threshold.
But Alliance Greens believe there's a more serious threat on the horizon. Influential Greens like Wellington City Councillor Stephen Rainbow, former Health Board Chairman Gary Taylor and Maruia Society head Guy Salmon are planning a party tentatively called Progressive Green. It'll have a strong social policy platform to broaden its appeal. That'll be detailed when Progressive Green is launched later this year. And that's expected to push Dr. Gruber's party out of the Green spotlight. Mike Jaspers, One Network News.
Banks are likely to decide later this week whether to raise mortgages. The BNZ's already lifting its deposit rates, though it's made no change yet to home loans. Wholesale interest rates affecting mortgages today hit their highest level for 18 months. But the share market made a quiet start to the week. The SE40 index was down 6 on turnover of $35 million. Among the leading shares, Fletcher Challenge accounted for nearly a third of the turnover. It closed up 1, Carter Holt Harvey was up 3. On the money markets, the New Zealand dollar lost ground against all the major currencies.
Yes magazine, which was originally launched as a glossy Sunday tabloid, is to cease publication. Yes was transformed to a weekly magazine format about 3 weeks ago, but failed to attract advertisers. This week's edition will be the last one.
The Miss America pageant has been marked by 2 surprises this year. In a break with tradition, swimsuit contestants were allowed to go barefoot instead of wearing high heels. And Miss Alabama wooed the judges with her ballet routine to the song Via Dolorosa. Her performance even more impressive because 21-year-old Heather Whitestone is deaf. She's the first woman with a disability to win the Miss America crown. And although she can't hear the music, she counts beats in her head and synchronises her movements accordingly.
After the break, Jeremy has a big run on Ranfurly Shield tickets and doing the double again. The Kiwi Scullers strike gold at the World Rowing Champs.
Our politicians are often accused of acting like kids. Tonight, kids act like politicians.
They are using alcohol in the wrong way. This is an abuse of the privilege, and surely by lowering the age...
Parliament's debating chamber given over to the youth of New Zealand. That's tonight on Homes at 6:30.